SG. Which has to welcome all the viewers from Al Jazeera who have now crossed live, SABC, Sky News, and CNN. I'm just welcoming them because the SG wasn't aware that we're live. I also want to welcome those who are coming outside of the region of Nelson Mandela. I see a lot of international who have joined us today. It's quite an important event. Thanks very much for coming. As we promised, today is the State of Readiness press up by the Secretary General, accompanied by the Provincial Secretary, who may just deal with issues of details and logistics. Comrade Gwede, please present the State of Readiness.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to stand up. There's no podium here. If I was in Joburg, I would be standing in the podium. Welcome, Nomvula. Welcome, Nomvula.
Morning, FG.
Morning. You are covered live and they noticed that you've just arrived, you know. So I must welcome you. Yeah. This is a media briefing on the state of readiness for the Manifesto launch, which is tomorrow. Our view is that the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium in Port Elizabeth will be a fitting setting for the launch of the African National Congress 2016 Local Government Manifesto on Saturday, 16 April 2016. The province of the Eastern Cape occupies a proud place as the political home of the ANC and epicenter of the struggle for freedom and justice. The ANC once again returns to this province proud of commendable work of the ANC government that has been done in the region, and confident and humbled by the overwhelming support the ANC continues to enjoy among the people of Nelson Mandela Bay. You will remember that this is the home of the legends, Eastern Cape. They call it the home of the legends. And their problem with this home of the legends, even if a legend from the Eastern Cape has moved to Gauteng, they claim that legend because they must be the home of the legend. That is the Eastern Cape. That's where we are today. Since the beginning of the week, supporters, members, and leaders of the ANC have been involved in an intensive mobilization campaign, talking to our people and encouraging them to form part of the 100,000 people strong cottage and expected at the stadium on Saturday. In our interaction with our people, they continue to demonstrate the utmost confidence in the ANC, while acknowledging weaknesses, challenges, in some areas. This is both in ANC strongholds and in areas where the ANC did not perform well in 2011 local government elections and even in the by-elections. If we continue at the pace we've started, I'm sure we'll gain some few wars that we didn't control after 2011 elections. The people speak confidently of tangible change they have seen in their lives as a result of the work of the ANC government, who are satisfied with the turnaround that the municipality has witnessed following the NEC intervention in the region last year. The ANC is convinced that the people of Nelson Mandela will give the ANC a renewed mandate on the 3rd of August 2016 to build on the work that has already been done. The Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, which holds 46,000 people inside, will be filled to capacity, as will be the overflow facilities. The Nelson Mandela Metro region alone has more than 40,000 people confirmed to attend the Manifesto rally, with the balance of those expected to come from neighboring regions in the province. I can confirm that I've been to 3 of those regions. I've been to Chris and Amatol, I've been to Sarah Bartman. People are enthusiastic. They are coming to the Manifesto launch. More than 1,000 buses and 600 taxis will ferry supporters from across the province. Other provinces committed to send buses here. The Free State, Gauteng, KZN, and Western Cape are expected to support the rally, with each bringing a minimum of 10 buses. There will be strict access control measures enforced around the stadium to ensure minimal disruption to residents and businesses around the area. That is very important. When we have a Manifesto launch of the ANC, it must not pose a threat to business people and residents. around that area. It must reflect an old movement that is civilized and representing the most advanced sections of society. Road closures will be in fact on Milner Avenue, Prince Alfred Road, Fettes Road. Only residents and business operating in these areas will have access to these roads. Prohibited items at the stadium include firearms, dangerous weapons, alcohol, as well as any T-shirt or placard that are insulting or divisive. The gates of the stadium will open at 8. When the cultural program will commence, many of South Africa's most popular artists have confirmed their attendance, including a variety of local artists chosen specifically to showcase the rich cultural heritage in the Eastern Cape. Musicians from different genres will also be present, including traditional gospel, hip-hop, dancers, and DJs. The principal program started at 10 with interfaith prayers, followed by messages of support from our allies, the Communist Party, COSATU, and SANCO. And the president of the ANC, President Jacob Gwede Zuma, is expected to speak at 11. That is it. And I think that is the end of our statement. All we are confirming is that we are ready for tomorrow. The ANC is here, and everybody, by the time we leave, will have experienced the president of the ANC. I want to add that, Zizi, already in terms of the revenue for the city, the contribution for the whole week will not be the same. Sales will be up, hotels will be full, everybody is feeling our presence. We're here, the ANC is around. And I heard somebody singing, ANC is in town. You see, that's it. Yes.
Were you singing?
Thanks very much.
Somebody was singing.
Can we take questions, ladies and gentlemen? The statement shall be distributed in the meantime to members of the media. Ms. Wandile?
One language.
Yes. Followed by EWN and Power FM.
A very good morning. As you interact with people, mobilizing them towards tomorrow, what are some of the key issues that they've raised with you, perhaps issues of concern, given that this is going to be one of the most contested elections?
EWN?
Okay, SG, it's Calvin Whittles from Eyewitness News. You mentioned that if the ANC continues campaigning as it started, you may be able to recapture some of the awards that you lost in 2011. I'd just like to get your assessment, SG, from the interaction with the people here in Nelson Mandela Bay, from the period which those awards were lost and then the turbulent time that the municipality went through until you appointed Danny Jordan as the new mayor. Have you found that the people's confidence in the ANC in Nelson Mandela Bay is increasing, or has that turbulent time affected it so much that it actually waned and that you've had to do patchwork now? Thank you.
Hajra Waji from Power FM. I speak under correction, but I think the Nelson Mandela Bay ANC is being run by a task team. So how is ANC nationally going to bolster the efforts of the party in the region and the province in terms of election machinery going forward? And secondly, do you think Danny Jordan has been used enough in this week, going door to doors, on walkabouts, doing mini rallies, since he seems to be popular in some of the places we've visited, but we haven't really seen him on the ground with the ANC. We've seen him attend government functions, rather.
Sophie?
No question.
Wow.
It's going to rain tonight.
You're going to spoil our event tomorrow. It's going to rain. SG?
You know, when we interact with people, they will raise almost the same issues. But there's a difference from one election to the other. Earlier on, they would all complain about service delivery, houses, electricity, water. That has been reduced because houses have been delivered, electricity is there. There will be problems of water because of drought. And I think Mamnu Mvula will have to tell us when is the rain coming. She must know, is a minister of water. She's a minister of
declared with
yeah. Now, what we are noticing is that the shift is this. There is a shift from issues of service delivery to the issue of quality of service. That is quite a significant shift that we are beginning to see. People are having these RDP houses, but there is a crack here, there is a weakness in the structure, there is this, that, which is a different kind of concern that people are raising. And we're dealing with those issues. That's why when it comes to houses, we'll have a program of rectification and other issues. So we're dealing with those issues. And of course, people are discussing issues that are current, and we're engaging them on those issues. And it's natural. That is why the leadership is here, is to deal with current issues, engage people, make them understand, allow them to disagree, allow them to agree. And I can tell you that as we interact, we are beginning to achieve the objective of talking to our people, where our people begin to understand where the ANC come from on many issues and rally around it. That is what we've seen. What has happened with the support, let me tell you, sometimes people exaggerate problems. We lost one ward to the UDM, and it became a narrative for 3 weeks that we're losing Nelson Mandela to the UDM. It's one word. We lose one word to the UDM, therefore we're losing Nelson Mandela to the UDM. When we won back Ward 40 from the DA, it's no news. Do you get my point? That's where sometimes the public narrative of the developments is very, very unfair and biased against the ANC. When you lose what 33, yeah?
What 30?
What 30 to the UDM?
30.
What 30 to the UDM? It's big news for weeks and weeks and months that the ANC is losing the UDM, and the UDM gets excited, it slaughter cattle in the ward, it does many things, it's fine. But when we win back Ward 40 from the DA, nobody talks about it. It's hush-hush. That shows that the narrative in the public domain is structured such that it is biased against the ANC. We must swim against that stream. We are actually quite prepared and ready to swim against that stream. Nelson Mandela is run by a task team, that is correct. It's not unique to Nelson Mandela. Every region where we dissolve a structure, we put a task team, as it is the case in Usmum Party and Kenneth Kaunda in the Northwest. We have task teams there. But the election machinery is different to the formal political structure of the ANC. It is a network of local election teams everywhere. Even where there is a structure, elections are driven by an election team. We have an election team in Nelson Mandela. It is working. It would have been better if we had a formal structure of the ANC, because it adds the impetus and take the political authority in the work that has been done. Is Danny Jordan used sufficiently? I will leave that to Nomvula. She was here longer. I was in Chris Niamatole, Sarah Batman. I will leave that question to you, Comrade Nomvula. But what is important is that one of the characters of the ANC is that it never rallies against an individual leader. The ANC is as effective as a team that is working in an area and a collective. One individual doesn't make the ANC stronger. That individual contributes to the work of the team. And I'm leaving it to Comrade Nomvula. If Comrade Denny is missing in action, my view and the reports that I was getting was that he is not missing in action, but let him explain. I was not here.
Yeah. No, thanks, SG. Comrade Danny is actually not missing in action. As we gathered here, he is together with the Minister of Social Development and the provincial government. They are opening a center that deals with support to victims of substance abuse. And we have deployed him there. Yesterday, he was deployed to interact with civil society together with the president over a period of 1.5 hours yesterday, after the president moved from Utinage before he went to Motherwell. Later this afternoon, together with Comrade Ayanda Lodlo and Comrade Fikile Kasa, they will be dealing with the issues of governance. I think it is at around 1:30, 1 o'clock this afternoon, just on how we have fared as the ANC on matters of governance. Remember also, Hajra, this is an Imbizo focus week. Minister Angie Motsecha was also working with him in the northern suburbs. So he's deeply in action. It's just that in some instances, some of these programs are not actually being followed. But he will be doing that. Later today at around the 6, he will also be interacting with another group that wants to engage the ANC on how to give support to matters of youth development in the metro. So that's where we've been utilizing Comrade Denny, and he's been doing very well.
Thank you. I guess there are no further questions except my old friend from
Financial Times. SG Andrew Ingham with the Financial Times. Looking more nationally at the local elections, how concerned are you about the impact of the Concourt ruling, the noise around in Kandla, calls from some within the ANC for the president to step down, and criticism within the ANC? How is that going to impact on the ANC's chances, not just in PE and Nelson Mandela Bay, but more broadly across the country? And how much of a drag will that be on the ANC vote? Thank you.
Hajra, you my last hand, because I guess that last question represents Matum and so on. Hajra, my last question.
It's a follow-up, actually. So I asked this question knowing that ANC leaders throughout the week have made a compelling case that this question has not been asked in door-to-doors. But since the SG said ANC leaders are here to deal with current issues so that it can impact the ANC and the way forward, could it be argued that the ANC has been in denial on Nkandla and continues to be in denial on Nkandla?
Thank you, Hajra. SG?
Nombula, are you in denial?
No. That's why we've been so busy meeting with different sectors.
Okay, okay. I'm putting you on the spot on this one. Let me start with the impact, Andrew. Anything that the opposition can find to use against this, they will use it. It's not new. In the last general elections, the main issue that was used by the opposition against that was Nkandla. So it's a continuation of that now, that there's a concord. That narrative will continue on the part of the opposition. That's why they will call for a vote of no confidence. 2 months down the line, they call for an impeachment, which is the same thing. They will continue. That is the duty of the opposition, to try to put the ANC on the back foot. That is their duty. We can't dictate to them what they should do to put us on the back foot. But what is important is the ANC is out there engaging people on the matter. And that is not denialism, Hajra. That is owning up. Okay. In engaging the people, we explain how to take decisions, how to come to particular determination. We also own up that here this was a mistake, here this was a mistake, here this was a mistake, and own up That's why, for example, many people say the apology of the president didn't go far enough. Our view is that when you humble yourself and apologize, you see, yesterday I met a group of religious leaders, and they asked me about this thing. This apology is not enough, and I referred them to Psalms. And I say, if you read the Psalms from the first chapter to the last, you find a great king called David, who was committing mistakes after one, after the other, after the other. If you read the Psalms, David is doing three things. He is committing a transgression, he apologizes, he is thankful that he has been forgiven. And commit another one, and he apologizes, and he gets forgiven, and he is thankful that he has been forgiven. He does that all the time. But that doesn't make him not less of a great leader and a great king in the history. So we're not in denial. We're dealing with the issue as we go, and we engage with it all the time. But sometimes when I interact with many journalists, they tend to remember the last incident. What we said a year ago or 2 years ago gets off the record. They don't remember it. Even when we went to Nkandla and said, but this is not looking like a fire pool, it looks like a swimming pool. It's us who said so. Okay. We're the only people who said so publicly. This doesn't look like a fire pool, it looks like a swimming pool. Journalists tend to forget that and remember the report of the Minister of Police on the matter. Now, if you think in that sequence and that thing, remember what you choose to remember, then you'll say we're in denial. But you'll find that if you can go back and look into all our statements on the country issues, you'll find that we're the people who have actually conceded on a number of issues as it was unfolding. But still did one thing that is important that we'll continue doing: respect the institutions that deal with the matter. Often on this one, when it goes to Concord, it's another institution. When it pronounces, we welcome the pronouncement. One of the things that we've been critical of the public protector is the question of going public on issues. We're seeing that developing in the Concord now, that they give a judgment, we respect it, we accept it, we say it must be implemented. You're being now a series of lectures given by the Concord. It's something that is strange, and we're monitoring very closely that, because if it happens that institutions will become populist instead of doing what is expected of them to do in terms of the Constitution. So that aspect will always be critical of that kind of a behavior. As far as I'm concerned, the Concord has given a judgment. We're saying to the institutions and our members in Parliament and everywhere, implement the decision of the Concord, don't argue with it. That's what we're saying. National Treasurer, do your assessment, give the money that must be paid by the President. The President, you will pay that money. We all agree on that. Now, once there is another parallel process of lectures all over, then that issue is going to open a new chapter that will lose the judgment and deal with the lectures. That's it.
Thank you very much. Hajra, yesterday, I'm sure you missed the program in Motherwell. We received about 50 members from the TA, and Comrade Danny was part of that program. Yesterday, also earlier during the day, Vyomvoko was one person who covered the story. Here in front of the City Hall, we received 2 councillors from the TA yesterday, which was an event outside led by Atol Trolip. He then backfired against him. So I'm just saying there's been some lot of work that Comrade politically and organizational that Danny has been doing, be outside of government work.
Who is Atol Trolip?
Atol was really members.
Who is that?
Some other
2 councillors.
2 councillors.
Trolip.
No, do you think Trolip came back to the ANC?
No. You talk of the Bull of Bedford.
Just for information, we are asked as members of the media to remain. Many of you had raised an issue about accreditation, the security will come and brief you, because in the past, some of you complained about the recruitment and so on. We want security to come and brief you of the logistics arrangements for tomorrow and going forward. They will come here immediately after this. 1 o'clock, as soon as we leave the briefing, Comrade Danny, the Comrade Ayanda Dodo, the chair of the subcommittee on the LNG, They will then address you, local government. They will then have a briefing, which the details, I'm sure if you check your media alert on wires, they are already available, just to talk about the turnaround since Comrade Danny came in the local, in the space about 10 years ago, 10 months ago. So we'll talk about that, which will let you know probably at the end of this. Thank you very much. That brings an end of the media briefing. We will then wait for someone from the security just to brief you. But this ends the formal briefing by the Secretary General.
We're gone. Thank you very much. We must be very thankful to the media for asking nice questions today. There was no difficult and hostile question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.